one of the things that we talk about is purpose, finding yours and walking in that. Rene, tell us about your idea and starting on your path. And I'm going to try to show you my shirt.
Prop 134 hungry. Yes, that's it. When we are talking about purpose, Lorraine, you know, my story is a little bit different than other people, because I know that I have lived that I've been in that space in my life where I'm constantly wondering, Lord, what is my purpose? What am I here for? What is this grandiose thing that I'm supposed to be doing with my life? Right. And in the midst of living my life, I was experiencing some hardships and whatnot, to the point that, and you know the story, to the point that I had decided that I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. And I'm going to take matters into my own hands. And so I did that. And I was this close to being successful with that. But God had another plan. And in the midst of that experience, literally, I'm laying in the hospital bed, and God, I believe that it was God who spoke to me as audibly as I'm speaking to you now, and that I'm hearing your voice. He says, Rene, he said, as long as I put breath in your body and allow you to put your feet on the floor, he said, I just want you to get up and live, and I'll do the rest. And in that moment, all that pressure was taken off of me. So I think I'm a little lucky, you know, because that is a direct message that I received, and everybody's story is not the same. But then again, maybe it is. I don't know. But the pressure of all of that wondering is gone. I don't deal with that. Now I do wonder, what am I supposed to do as an occupation? Excuse me. What am I supposed to do as an occupation? You know, is there something, you know, a little more charitable or whatever maybe that I should do? Like, what type of thing should I engage myself in? So I do ask those questions. With that promise that I believe that God gave me, again, I do try to take care of myself. I do try to invite the Lord in, so that whatever it is he's doing, he can do it. Right. And you've heard me share stories of people coming to me saying, Rene, you made this impact on me. When you did this, this is how it impacted me. And I get choked up in those moments, because those are the moments that tell me that God is doing what he said he was going to do. And I love that. And I love that. And I hope that in every single thing that I decide to do, that he will continue to do that. So I just started a new job in August. As I'm interacting with my coworkers, I hope that he's doing that. You know, I do try to make sure that I am honoring myself and honoring God. And you know that I'm not perfect. You know, I make a lot of mistakes. If you have me evaluate my life, I'll tell you, I make so many mistakes. It's like, oh my goodness, can I ever get it right? But it's not about me, right? I take the job. And every time I step in the door, every time I enter a meeting, I'm just trying to put my best foot forward, because I know that he said that there's something he's going to do, and I don't want to get in the way of that. When it comes to living my life and having different people call on me, I try to respond and do the things that I feel are necessary and needed, so that they can feel and know that God is working. You know what I mean? If I have to drive an hour to go pick up someone's tithe envelope and take it to the church, I'll do that, because they didn't have to think of me. They didn't have to ask me. I'm not a yes man. I don't say yes to everything. But there are certain things where you just know this is what you're supposed to do.
Right.
So that's kind of where I am. And as far as like the Hungry brand with the t-shirt that you are wearing, and I love to see you wear it. I love to go out and see other people wearing their shirts. And it's so funny, because I didn't even realize how many people have them. That whole Hungry journey has not been a perfect journey at all. There are definitely some times where I've kind of fallen short, but there are a lot of times where I've been able to come through, and people will share with me their hungry experiences. They will share with me what they are hungry for in life. And I love how it's just so different from person to person. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's out here just trying to live a life that is meaningful, that they can, kind of connect to, that still allows them to feel alive when they're doing these things. And like I said, I absolutely love it. The Hungry brand, the shirts, t-shirts, tank tops, and all of these things originated with someone that I love very much, and that someone is my son, going through a tough time. And in the midst of that tough time, I believe he was a teenager at the time. This was 2016. We know how teenagers can be, pluck my nerves a little bit. So I ran to the gym. I'm like, I'm not going to let you get the best of me. And when I went to the gym, this shirt, like everything that you see on your chest and on your arm, it flashed through my mind. And I ran home as quickly as possible to try to just design this simple shirt for a couple of reasons. One, as a means of making the shirts and having him to sell them. He was getting a little down while he was searching for a job. Mind you, he works well, he loves to work, but he did not expect that job search to be as difficult as it was. And so I was like, well, we make these shirts, you can sell them and you can make money. But also the shirt actually says hungry. It's Proverbs 13:4, which says a sluggard's appetite is never filled, but the desires of the diligent are fully satisfied. So I'm just simply letting my son know, and letting any and everybody who purchases these shirts, sweatshirts, tank tops, letting them know the same exact thing. Whatever it is that you hunger for, because everybody doesn't hunger for money. People
Mm-hmm.
do hunger for
Right.
purpose. They do hunger for health and wellness and stability. They hunger for, just betterment in their lives, better relationships, better this, better that. The shirt is to remind you of that. There is a role that you have to play in that.
Yes.
And you need to be diligent in your efforts, and what you do will not be in vain.
Amen. I love that.
Yeah.
I love hearing this story every time. I've heard it many times and I love it every time. Um, Chris asked, where do I get a shirt?
Oh, yay. Okay. That is a very good question. Right now, I've actually gone back to a very simple system, which is please DM me, and I'll let you know what exactly I have in stock. Because I'll be honest, right now, I am trying to get rid of all of the inventory that I have now, and I do plan on beginning afresh in the future, not right now. So right now, I'm
Lovely.
trying to get the inventory out. But yeah, if you DM me, let me know what size, what color. They are in gray and black. And it's actually a little bit limited, so we'd have to have a conversation. But I would love anybody who wants one. I would love for them to have one and have that message. Just to possibly open a conversation with somebody on the street, because it does kind of grasp people's attention. Because I do
Yeah.
answer a lot of questions about that shirt.
And what's your Instagram handle?
Uh,
Where should they DM you?
So the one that I'm actually getting the most DMs from whatever to sent to whatever. Miss Rene, that's MZ dot Rene RENE dot NAY, Miss Rene. The Hungry brand actually does have its own page too, Instagram page, and that is at Prov134 Hungry. So if you go to that page, you can DM that one as well. But I am receiving the most orders on the Miss Rene. That's mz.rene.nay. Yeah. So that's the story.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
So can you tell me, in the context, Renee has been to more of my presentations than anybody,
Other than you.
and other than me, both virtual and in person. And Renee, can you just talk a little bit about your experience as a single woman and something you took away, a couple of things, and even how it relates to what we talked about as far as purpose and creating a life that you love?
Okay, that's not a lot, but I have been to quite a few. I've been to some in Florida, in Tennessee, different locations here in Virginia. And I have enjoyed every single one. And when I say that wasn't a lot, I meant that actually was a lot, but I've enjoyed them all for so many different reasons. And because it was a lot, I'm just going to speak
Yeah.
on
You can just
seminars
the
topic.
snippet.
Yeah, no, the thing that I love about your seminars is that you cover a lot of ground. Normally, when you go to singles ministry seminars, they are focused on letting you know that there's nothing wrong with you. And then they continue by adding a little more information about the fact that there's nothing wrong with you. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, I've had enough. I was like, just, I couldn't take it anymore. So what I would do is go slip into the marriage seminars, which would be the same day. But I would go in there and they're talking about communication. I mean, relationship issues. They're talking about communication. They're talking about finances. They're talking about sex and intimacy. They're talking about trust and how to rebuild. And they're talking about all of these things that I believe that we should know in our singleness. We should be introduced to those things in our singleness. Number one, as a single person, I need to know about finances and relationships as a whole, not just romantic. I need to know, you know, all of those things that I just mentioned. But also, as I prepare to enter into this place of hopefully marriage, I want a heads up, you know, because what I found is that they were doing damage control instead of kind of looking or going into things a little more preventive as far as the single goes. Like, we should be covering the same topics, but to prepare us to go into it so that we don't have to go to these strictly for damage control. But that's one thing I love about your seminars is that you cover these topics. You know, you may not have covered all of them yet, but I do believe that they are coming, and you have covered a lot. You do focus on the singleness and a lot of things that we should consider in our singleness. For example, the one that always the first one that always pops in my head is the one with all the flags. You know what I mean? As you're going through the different stages of dating and meeting different people, what are the red, yellow, green, checkered, you know, what are these flags and what do you do when you come to these points in your relationship? Unfortunately, I cannot break them down at the moment, but go to the seminar and you will love it. You also, another thing that I absolutely love is that you talk a lot about, from a single perspective, you talk about perspective. You know what I mean? You're talking about, I think in the one you just did last night, you mentioned it, and I've heard you say it before, is that a lot of times when we as singles talk about relationships, we're making a list of what we want, right? Who and what we want that person to be like, when we should also, because there's nothing wrong with that, we should also be making a list or making a list of who we want to be, how we want to be, what it is we want to bring to the table. And I love the fact that you bring that out because that's really important. And I'll tell you that when I was young, that was a concept that I did not really understand because I thought I was great and I just need a great person in my life. But it's so much more than that. In addition to that, you talk about, you know, I think one of your topics was in the meantime is a good time, right? And this is where you're talking about, you know, that purpose and having those habits that lead you towards your purpose so that you as a single person are finding a sense of wholeness where you are already, so that when you go into that relationship, you're just continuing that and you're getting somebody who can, you know, compliment or just walk alongside you. You know what I mean? You're not, you guys are not getting in each other's way. So I love, you know, that you bring those things out. And then I think one of the last things that I will say is that when you were here in Richmond, you were speaking to an audience, and I've seen you do it in other locations as well, but you were talking to singles and married people. And the married people were just as engaged in everything that you were saying as far as relationships. Because at the end of the day, at the core of all relationships are friendship, respect, honesty, trust, all these different things, right? And they were feeling it. So much so that I told you this, the day after your seminar, I went to a bridal shower. So a lot of these married women were in there at the bridal shower, at the table in the restaurant, Lorraine was right. I love what Lorraine said. That was a good tip. We really need to implement this thing. And I was just like, oh my God, I wish she was here to hear this because it was so well received. And just like with anything, like right now, I think I did pretty good at remembering, many of the things, some of the things that you've said, but everybody may not remember everything from here till eternity. You know what I mean? That's
Mm-hmm.
why it's okay to come back and let's hear it again. Let's refresh again. You know what I mean? Because even if you've heard other people say it, we've not heard you say it your way.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you are coming at us with the information that you're coming with, you are not coming, and I love this, you're not coming with Lorraine's opinion. You are coming with a level of transparency. You'll tell us some stuff so that we can relate. I'm not alone. She's experienced this as well. She's not talking out of her neck. She has experienced this as well. In addition to the fact that you have studied, you have read that word, and other people have said it because I sent you a clip from somebody else saying that when we are listening to you speak, we can tell that you have spent time with the Lord. And that's where that information is coming from. And I appreciate that. And I wish you well going forward. Like I look forward to, hearing more, especially, more new stuff that you have coming. I mean, I love it all. And I look forward also for you, for more people to be able to take it in because it enhances lives.
Wow. Whew. Well, thank you so much. That was very much appreciated. And, um, a lot of times we seek accolades from strangers because we're like, oh, well, if a stranger says it, then it must be true. But I don't, I like to hear my friends know that when I invite my friends and they're like, yes, I'm coming, they come because not just because it's me, but because they're like, I'm going to get something out of that. And for you to be able to kind of relay, that was a lot more than I even anticipated that you were going to say. And I love it and I appreciate it. And I want everyone to get that because ultimately I know that it doesn't come from me. Yes, it's my personality and my stories, but the essence comes from God. And that's why I resonate with it. And I love it so much. And I love sharing it because I know God is saying it. And so when I get afraid or I feel like I'm afraid or nervous, which I've rejected that altogether now, but but God is saying, I told you to say this, so it will not return void.
Right.
Somebody's going to be impacted by that. And I've never gone anywhere where I haven't gotten feedback about how somebody's been impacted. And so thank you for sharing that. And I believe that we are creators, not like God is a creator where we can make something out of nothing, but God has given us power to create, not just having babies, but create life, create joy, create peace by connecting with Him, obviously, the source of everything, but not just accepting, oh, this is what life is, so this is what I have to accept. No, you can make life what God wants you to make it, and He wants us to be joyful and happy. There will be tough times. That's not the point. The point is that you can have a life that you love living. And when you do that, that draws other people who maybe don't know God. They're like, what's going on with you? And now you have a story to tell. Like I said yesterday, I have a life I love, and I am creating a life that I love. It is a process. Every day there's a new thing, and some things are like, I don't like that thing, but it's the journey. It's the journey that I'm on. Thank you so much, Renee.